Okay, here we are. We're back. Got our cylinder heads back, and got them machined. I'll bring that camera over here in a minute. We got them. Look how shiny they are, nice and machined. My friend John at J&R machined these for me. He said, yeah, you know, they were off. You know, it took about eight to 10 to get them clean, 8 to 10 thousandths. So they're nice and clean now, but we're going to reassemble the heads today. We got our valves ready to go. Of course, we did that in the last video. The heads machine. We're going to put new valve seals in there, and we're going to get the outside. Once we get them all back together, we're going to paint the outside of the heads, make it look like we did something under the hood. So it'll be nice, and we'll get some nice new Ford blue paint, engine paint on there. Try to make some progress on it today. Let me show you these heads. I got in trouble the last time because the focus wasn't quite right on the camera, but I am not too tech savvy when it comes to the cameras. But as you can see, these cylinder heads are pretty nice. Pretty well machined, nice and flat. We're gonna have something good to work with. This was the area right here where the firing wasn't sealed all the way around, but look at it now. It's going to be good now. So that's it. We got our new push rods right here. That's something that we were missing, but we got the push rods, we got the valves, and we got some time on our hands. And we're going to start to reassemble these heads and then get them back in that Mustang, get them back on that motor. Engine assembly lube. This is what you want to use pretty much throughout any engine assembly. You get this valve nice and lubed up, put that in that guide, and then, you know, we're going to use the compressor. Spring's going to go on, well, seal's going to go on, and then the spring, and then of course the keepers. So that's how that goes. So let's put this baby together. I'm going to put the valve in, and umbrella type stock seals. We'll slide that baby right over, and then we're going to put our spring on. I'm going to compress the spring here, just like that. As you can see, let's move this over. We got this compressed, and then we're going to put our keepers in. And of course, obviously, the thicker part goes to the top, of course. Slide those right in there together. Tighten this just a little bit. All there is to it. Hopefully you can see that. You can see the keepers are in there perfectly. Got our valve seal in there. That's it. So we're just going to go right down the line and put them all in. Now they have in the kit, it gives you two sets of seals. It gives you shorter ones for the exhaust, and then they give you enough to do, these are the intake, they're a little bit taller, so potentially I suppose you could use these on the exhaust as well, because they give you enough of them. But we'll use the ones that are for the exhaust. They're just a slight bit smaller. Usually they give you a little plastic sleeve that goes over the valve stem, just to cover up the grooves in the valve stem. But for some reason it's not in the kit, and I don't have an extra one, but it's not going to harm the seal much. It'll be fine. So that was pretty quick. It took us a short amount of time to do that. So let me take this camera over here and show you what we did. It's fairly easy. It's not that big of a job. Now, there's a lot more that goes into head work. Well, I'm not doing anything custom here. All we did was lap the valves, had the head resurfaced, put new valve seals. Each of the valves that we lapped came out nice, sealing good. This is not a high performance build. We're just making this run on all 8 cylinders. But we got all our springs in here. You can spend an awful lot of money on heads. You could do all kinds of crazy things. This is nothing more than just straight stock. That's all it is. Which has been the goal right from the get-go, just to get this engine running properly, firing on all 8. That's the whole goal. So one's done, we'll do one more, and then I'll get them ready to put a little bit of paint on them, and we'll keep on moving. They're all together. And they're looking good. So that didn't take me too long. About 20 minutes. Put them both together. Take them outside. We're going to dust a little bit of paint on them. Clean the engine block. And we're going to clean up some of the exhaust manifolds. And we're going to try to lay these babies in there today. I didn't film me painting the cylinder heads because I don't want to get any overspray on my lens or on the camera. So we dusted on a little bit of Ford blue onto the cylinder heads, and they're looking pretty good. So now we're going to clean up the engine block. So we're going to start to clean up this engine block. We're going to take those head gaskets are still laying in there. We're going to take the head gaskets off, and we're going to clean the block. I don't anticipate any problems, but we're going to go ahead and check the deck of the block with this. Just a straight edge. So basically, it's got a little protective sleeve on it. That's a machined edge, which is perfectly square. Very true, very flat. And we're going to lay that, once the block is clean, on the deck. We're going to lay that on the deck, and we're just going to put a feeler gauge in there. And probably in the area on this side where we had the trouble sealing here with the fire ring. So we're going to check in there, make sure the block is good. I don't anticipate any problems, but we're going to check it anyway. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to just pull one lifter out at a time, and we're going to look at the bottom. So this is a tool right here. All you do is squeeze it, and when you squeeze it, it opens up, and you can go right in here like this, and then easily pull the lifter right out of the bore, because it's kind of hard to get them out with your fingers. So one more thing before we get started. So I just went into the house and I found this. So we're gonna have to eat this donut first before I do any more work. That's just the way it's gonna be.
Another donut. Amazing. Cleaning the block, the first thing you want to do after removing the old gasket is scrape it with a razor blade. Then, you want to use something flat to keep the surface even and some sandpaper. Dad's going to use 180 grit wrapped around a block of wood. All you're really doing is scraping away the high spots. You're not looking to take away any material. Give it a little spritz and a wipe down and she's good to go.
Alright,
to work now.
Is we have, you know, a perfectly good straight edge, and we have our block very clean. So what we want to do is put our straight edge across the block. Take this feeler gauge. This is 1.5 thousandths. I don't know if you can read that. You know, you can go in between the pistons, in between the cylinders, I should say, and then you just put the feeler gauge in there, put your straight edge in there, and then you're trying to pull the feeler gauge out. If you can just slip it right out, well, then there's a gap in there. So this is, I got all the way across the block, and I cannot pull that out. So we'll just check it in a few places. So we have a true cylinder head, and we have a true block. So, and we're going to have a brand new head gasket. So we're going to have a tight seal. So let's pop these lifters out one at a time, take a look at them. And so basically what you're looking for, a nice flat surface on the bottom side. As you can see that you're looking for a nice flat surface. If you don't have a flat surface here, chances are you probably have a camshaft problem. The sludge builds up on the bottom of the lifter. Because the lifter only moves so much up and down, and then where it doesn't, it builds up that little bit of dark oil, and that's just enough because it's such a tight tolerance. That's just enough to cause you a problem getting it out. But usually you work it a few times and it comes out. And they're all looking great so far. Yeah, if you didn't have this tool, you would not be able to get this out with your fingers. It's just a good time to check it, you know what I mean? You wouldn't want to put this all back together and find out, you know, you got a bad lifter, you know, or a cam that's maybe going bad. Like I said, if you had a lobe problem, you would see it on the lifter. So that's good. There's nothing weird to see there, so that's good. They all look good. So the block's straight, the heads are straight. We can start putting this back together. These are the head gaskets that I took out, and I was telling you that we were building some pressure in the cooling system. So if we look at this head gasket, this is the left side of the motor, and if you look at the fire ring all the way around the head gasket, it looks pretty much intact everywhere. And the fire ring is this ring all the way around. Looks pretty good. Now, where I suspected the problem was on this head, the last cylinder. If we take a close look at that fire ring, you can see clearly that is where the loss of compression into the cooling system was happening. This is your water jacket right here. That's your water jacket. You could see over time coolant just worked its way, finally got to that ring, deteriorated the ring, and then there you go. So that was definitely our problem with the buildup of pressure.
Onto some fire. The exhaust manifolds here have the bolts stuck in them pretty tight, so Dad is heating them up to get them out. When you change your gaskets, you want to first line up the old one with the new one to make sure there isn't a hole missing or anything else different between the two.
And that's it. And as you can see, I got my manifold in there already. So we're in there. We'll take take this elastic off, let those bolts drop, and we'll start these bolts. If the bolt is not a blind hole and there's water on the back side, like the water jacket, I'm going to put a little Teflon on the threads, because you don't want the coolant to come up into the bolt. It'll ride right up into the bolt, corrode the bolt, or even worse, leak into the motor. You want to make sure the threads of the bolts are nice and clean, so when you go to torque it, there's no problem torquing it. As you can see, I'm just spinning them in with my fingers.
The cylinder heads are torqued at 105, so we're going to do this in 2 stages. First up to 64 and then all the way up to 105. You want to make sure you work from the middle out to the ends.
Well, that's going to have to wait. We're going to get this done first.
Hearing all those dings go off makes it sound like a Vegas slot machine and we've hit the jackpot. Now, obviously, everything we do to one side of the engine, we do to the other. It's the same exact process.
That's it. We got some heads on. Thank God. Next, we'll get that intake painted up also. And then we'll get that on there. And we'll do the push rods, new push rods, and put the rockers on. We're gaining. I just dropped all those push rods down in there. Let's go ahead and get the rockers, get them started. But yeah, nice new push rods.
Here's that organizational skill coming back to help out. The rockers need to be torqued as well.
We got our intake all cleaned up. Dusted some paint, some Ford blue on there. And we're gonna put that in. We got, let's see, got our new intake pan. We got some gaskets right there. And these are the end seals. And that's gonna cover that up.
A little bit of engine assembly lube to keep the gaskets in place, and a little down below for the pan as well. Whoa, what the hell are you doing inside the car? Right, the intake is pretty heavy, it's easier to do it this way.
Would you look at that? Missing one intake bolt. How? How is there an intake bolt missing?
Don't worry, he found the missing bolt and put it in. Then all he has to do is torque these last remaining bolts on top of the intake, and it is done for the day. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all again soon.